and welcome everyone with another small brain review. This time I'm going to take a look at our Rialto defense. Um, the attack was really bad, so I decided to look at the defense. There were some positives in it. Basically, what the enemy team did really well is that they had a crossfire created by the Widowmaker and the Pharah. And as you can see, we only have Martin on the high ground. So our team composition isn't really suited for defeating this enemy team, especially that we have Zarya. So essentially only the McCree and the Batiste can contest the Pharah.
5, 4, 3.
So Dem is going on the left side,
incoming.
and he is going to scout.
Stop the payload.
So by this time we already know that they have a pharmacy. This information was supplied to us very quickly. But as you can see, we are in a building, and during the game my only thought was fuck. We are fucked. So the only thing that we can do, apart from praying, is that we try to fight on the cart as long as we can. But I knew that the pharmacy is going to fuck us from behind. You can see Martin is trying to engage them while we are trying to protect the cart, or stop the cart rather. But it's only a matter of time before the pharmacy's damage output defeats us. So we are really trying to stay on the cart as much as possible, and we are only lucky to survive this long. The splash damage from the pharmacy is just too much to contain for a long time. And as you can see, the Widowmaker is also positioned in a pretty good spot, and the only person who can contest the Widow is also kind of Martin and Amlo. The shield is broken. I mean, Reinhardt's shield is broken. And Carbon get the first pick. Not surprisingly, their team composition was superior to ours, so really our only hope was to stop the cart here or just delay it. Now we have them really outpositioned, and it's only a matter of luck that he wasn't hooked. Now what we should be trying to do is to stabilize and hold this corner as much as possible, but you see that Dem is going for a boop, and actually he's going to pull it off like a pro. So it's a 5v5 fight, of course. Oh no, one pushman didn't actually die. I remember that he died. So excuse me. It's still 6v5 fight. Let's take a look at where the farmers is. Yes, they are going to create the crossfire again. And our only choice was for us to keep fighting on the cart. As you can see, we have already wasted 45 seconds, so it's not as bad as it looks. But Martin is picked by BVK's like excellent Widowmaker gameplay, so it's like 4v6 now. And now, yeah, now them could get the pick on one pushman, but still, uh, due to the compositions, we really didn't have a chance. And I'm very surprised that Carbon couldn't clean us up much quicker. Now Plada is really doing it. And essentially that's a very very long team fight. 1 minute of the clock, so I would say well done to Brainstorm. Now the second team fight is going to look like really really bad. Um, Essentially we really want to contest the card before they can push it and hopefully win a team fight somehow. Um, Obviously, the Pharmacy can fly like from this direction and just shoot us from this location. This is like a prime location for them, and the Widow can like use cover. You can use high ground. You have this high ground. This is a really good location. Of course, we have Reinhardt shield, so the crossfire can still be set up. But look at the card. We are respawning, so we really should be able to contest this. Now let's look at this fight from this perspective first. You see, there is no crossfire. Damage is coming from the same direction. Ruby is down. Baka is hooked. Essentially, we get broken by the Far ultimate. Now let's look at this engagement in a bit more detail and lower speed. I think there are two very important things here to look at. The first is how Ruby decides to engage. So, we are trying to group up, but Ryan is not with the team yet. The cart is still some distance away, so we don't need to hurry as much as we will. Now, Pharmacy is retreating, most likely due to the fire by Martin, but still, Ruby decides to push in solo, and he is very very low HP. Now Baka is doing another charge, so Ruby is protecting him with the defense matrix, which is a pretty nice thing to do, but in the first place he should not be such low HP. That diva engagement was no good for the team, and now Baka is going to get hooked, and the matrix is not long enough to do that. Now, if you remember, we are going to be eliminated by the Pharah ultimate, so what we really need to look at is the HP of Ruby's mech and the defense matrix charge. Now you can see that there is no defense matrix because Baka had to be protected. So Baka is alive, but still a lot of resources are gone, a lot of HP is gone, and the engagement is only starting.
Whoa there.
So we get ambushment, but we are caught off guard by the Pharah. You see, Ruby didn't even have time to react. Two very important things to note in this case. First, reaction time is alright. In this case, a very competitive environment, very much like a lot of stress. So there's a lot of information going on, a lot of stuff going on. So we can see that Ruby didn't have any time to react to the Pharah ultimate, but that's in some so one of the reasons that he didn't have enough time to react is that his mech didn't have enough HP because of the bad engagement. So if you have 600 HP as D.Va, you have a little bit more time to react, but with such low HP, he couldn't even turn around. Baka could turn around and block some of the damage, but it wasn't enough. So essentially, this fight is lost because of a really bad re-engagement by the tanks. So essentially, what we need to do is group up. Yes, as you can see, Ruby. Again, Ruby didn't use the technique that's called jumping into the water. It's a very advanced technique. Every D.Va player needs to learn this. You can see that he was struggling at the point. So it's not something that should happen. Of course, we haven't discussed these things, especially with Ruby. So if he watches these videos, hopefully he can learn this resetting. Now, what's happening is that Carbon are using very smartly their infrasight, so they can catch people who are just respawning. Split spawn can really lose a lot of time for our team and get a lot of time on the clock for Carbon. Especially that bridge is it's a very dangerous location, and if they can push the cart over the bridge, it's a lot safer for them. But actually, we are going to be able to regroup pretty nicely. The pharmacy needs to retreat, and this is going to be the third fight of this game. We are a little bit split, but we do have a shatter. So a key information for this section of the map is that here we have a much better chance of contesting the payload. As you can remember, we did pretty well here, wasted a lot of time. Basically, we can force Carbon to fight around this building, and with our team composition, of course, we have a lot of close range or mid-range damage, while Carbon has long range damage. So in the first point, we couldn't really contest them. There was a lot of long range fights going on, and we really could only utilize this building. Now what I wanted to replicate is to utilize this building and these gates, and we are going to buy some time for us. So the call on my part was to go on the high ground, and it's going to go rather well for us here. The Pharah is low HP, so she needs to retreat, and the shatter is online. So the plan was to very quickly go to high ground, drop behind shatter. Going to high ground, check. Shatter from behind, check. Doing it quickly, it was very slow. As you can see, the Mercy can even pop her ultimate before the shatter hits the ground. So essentially, instead of a huge shatter, we only get the Ana. So again, movement, grouping up quickly, moving quickly. We were scattered too hard. I'm gonna bring it back here. We are grouping up, moving. So the plan so far is great, Baka is going in the desired direction, but the team is catching up too slowly. I check back. So by the time I reach this location, most likely every Carbon member knew that we are on high ground and we are coming for them. We get the Shatter, we get the Ana, and also Muffin can get the Pharah with some very advanced techniques. So well done. And now another problem will be very, very clear. We have no focus fire. It's going to be very, very clear in this fight. We get Yana, and then what do? We go to the Widow. Look at the Reinhardt. No idea where anybody is. We are fighting a Widow 4v1 while Rein is just hammering the air. We get our shit together and we finally decide to fight in the building, but no enemies remain. Also, important to note, we lost them in this fight, so let's go back and check why that happened. So them dropped for some reason. He wanted to throw a grenade. This was a really questionable jump from them side. So you can see things moving up. Everyone is going on the high ground on the left side, and them is dropping. Grenade hits the Orisa, so the grenade wasn't as good as it could have been. And then he'll sleep, the road of he will still die. So we lose them. It's really not good for us, but we still win the team fight. So we could essentially stop Carbon, and as I told you before, what I wanted to use in this scenario or this location of the map is that we can use this building. Basically, we have close and mid-range damage, so we need to fight around this building, the two gates, and essentially hold the payload here as much as possible. The Pharah can barely touch us in this location. So another misplay by a support player. The idea was pretty good, and maybe the internet connection was bad or the stress, but it's pretty difficult to fire through this. Idea was great again. This is the gate that we need to protect. This is the gate we need to stop the enemy team from entering, but this ultimate is not going to help us. Also, them is back, so essentially it's a 6v6 fight. And what's going to happen is that BVK is going to pick Martin. So we lose Martin. I don't know why he decided to go that direction. Maybe he had the stun grenade. Let's check. Yes, so he had the stun grenade, so most likely he wanted to stun an enemy from behind and use right click. So the idea was good, but nobody noticed that BVK is going upstairs. So we lose 1 DPS. First pick goes to Carbon, and essentially it's a 5v6 fight. Oops, now Ruby is contesting BVK. Sorry for that mess. Ruby is doing pretty well on contesting BVK. Yes, he's checking behind. Very nice job. We lose Martin. McCree called out on high ground. BVK contesting him. Yes, the play wasn't good enough because BVK can just walk back, so Ruby missed the edge of the platform, but the idea and the call out was nice, so good job everyone. in stressful environments, things like this happen. So good job, everyone. It's still a 5v6 fight, and now we don't have Diva. So it's essentially we need to retreat, and it's again really it's a bit messed up retreat, but we remain 5 stack. So now again, I think if you analyze this picture, you clearly see what is going to happen. Plada has an ultimate, and Ruby has no defense matrix. So really, we need to practice ultimate tracking. It's very difficult, and I think that for us, ultimate is pretty difficult to track. Experienced divas know when they need to be very conservative with their defense matrix usage. So when you have the feeling that Farah has her ultimate, you should not use defense matrix. You should save it and always check behind. Obviously, we haven't practiced anything like this, but it's important to know. Now Ruby needs to run to the payload. Essentially, on payload maps, you need to die on the payload, especially if you are Baby Diva, because as Baby Diva you can be staggered, so you don't want to do that. You either jump in the water or go towards the payload, and if you are staggered on the payload, well, the payload is not moving, and essentially if you go to the payload is not moving. So if it's a lost fight, you die on the payload because you have to be killed as quickly as possible. You can get ult charge from the enemies. Of course, it gives ult charge to the support players of the enemy team as well, but you get some final ult charge, which can come in handy later. And also the payload is stopped until you are dead. So that's why the call is always die on the payload. Now Ruby is, thanks to BVK's aim practice routine, is not staggered. Let me check my notes. Yes. So the next fight is going to be the 6th. It's going to be the 5th fight actually. What we will see is that Martin is going to be picked. He's trying to retreat. And what we need to do here is group up as much as possible, but BVK picks Martin. And also Reaper is getting cooked. Like Ruby is using the defense matrix correctly here, so well done. Now the payload is moving up very quickly. We need to contest this payload. Again, using the buildings is the only chance we have. But we are scattered, like really scattered. We are all over the place. So it's not looking good for us. Also, Daka is stunned, and Orisa's ultimate will be used properly. And it's like we had the call that we need to contest the payload, but there was no real chance. So it's like a wasted ultimate on Martin's side, even though I mean the call was made, contest the payload. The contesting failed. So well done, Martin, for getting these 2 kills. But unfortunately, it was a waste. Now again, we need to run. We have no tanks. So in this scenario, what should happen? So Ruby needs to go to the payload and get killed, because right now he is staggering himself. The remaining members of the team need to run back as fast as possible, because you have no chance to engage. Both tanks are up in the enemy team, But as you can see, we are not doing that. We are like very heated at the moment, and we are trying to fight the enemy team. And luckily Ruby is picked, but we are still fighting the enemy team. How many tanks do we see? 0, exactly. So it's very important to look at the kill feed. Now we are fighting a lost fight. So we have essentially one tank back, but we still need to wait for Diva. But as everyone can see, Martin is really far away from the team. Like this is death. Luckily Martin is smart enough to notice this situation, so he's retreating. And what we will see here is a nano shatter with some follow-up from Muffin's Reaper.
You look tired.
So this was a pretty nice engagement. Nice grenade from them. I would say that this is not the best shatter ever, but it still gets both tanks, and this should be a very easy kill on to the Ana and the Orisa. So I don't know why, but Muffin decided otherwise. Most likely because he was afraid of the Ana. And for some reason he is engaging now. Let's see if... So, essentially, not the best Reaper ultimate. McCree has stun, and Ana has sleep. Well, let's just... So McCree didn't have time to react. The sleep misses, so bit lucky play. Now essentially the team fight is won. They only have one shield tank, so they don't really have a chance to push without the Orisa. And we can already see that they are retreating after 2 players are eliminated from their squads. So this is a key difference between Brainstorm and Carbon at this stage, that when we lose 2 players, we stay and fight. If Carbon loses 2 players, they leave, they run. So the bomb wasn't needed at all, but things like this happen. So we could stop the cart, luckily. Let's see how Carbon decides to engage the point this time. They still have the Pharmacy. It was working for them pretty well. And as you can see, they have both the McCree ultimate and the Pharaoh ultimate. So this is going to be a pretty difficult fight for Brainstorm. So again, Crossfire is being set up. Team is very split. I mean, not a bad setup. Them staying in the back, not a bad decision. But in this case, maybe Ruby should be closer to them. It's great that Martin is close to them because he can protect them better. But it's still not looking good. Now, we have a very good pick. This was most likely a mistake by Harsha, but well done to Muffin for getting this pick. And let's see how Carbon react to this.
Helden sterben nicht.
They are retreating. So this is what we always should do as well. Now Mercy pops her ultimate, but she's not going to res the Orisa. So I'm not quite sure why Mercy popped her ultimate here. But regardless, Martin gets picked. Now I think that Martin kind of has a habit of getting picked, but let's see why this actually happened to him. So again, we will get the Orisa pick.
Healing enough.
Martin is close to Diana, which is not bad. Carbon is retreating, so
Helden sterben nicht.
Martin follows up with more engagement. But I guess the Pharaoh is going to two-shot him. He's checking behind, very nice. Some aim practice on the Mercy. But yeah. So I mean, it wasn't a bad positioning. Martin even checked behind if the Pharaoh is trying to pick him. So overall, smart plays, but it would have been even smarter if he didn't do this. So, no Orisa, no McCree, but Orisa is getting back. So, next team fight coming up. So, they still have the McCree ultimate and the Pharaoh ultimate, and unfortunately it's going to be pretty crucial. So for some reason Ruby decides to go and contest the Pharaoh, and I mean it's a pretty good thing to contest the Pharaoh as a diva. That's why we changed this area. But now Ruby is getting picked, and because there are 2 diamond DPS players on the enemy team, they see the kill feed. That is all they need. Actually, One Pushman is a diamond player as well, so no diva, no matrix. McCree pops his ultimate, Roadhog pops his ultimate. But it's going to be the Pharaoh. I would like to commend Amlu for using the lamp so well. But of course it's not going to matter because we cannot survive these ultimates.
Justice is done.
So we are picked apart. We need to group up. So let's see what happens. I would like to show you a very good technique of grouping up and how to engage the enemy team as quickly as possible.
I'm back in the fight.
You see, it was a pro move. The Reinhardt player looked behind himself. He sees that the team is together and that it's the best time to engage. Defense matrix is up to block initial damage. Very nice. Yes, I was joking. This is not a pro engagement. So unfortunately the main tank was picked, and essentially that is going to shape this fight. It's very difficult to engage 5v6 in this scenario. Basically you have one team set up like as conveniently as they would like, and you have another team coming up from a gate that is being fired upon by every enemy player. So Ruby is flying into the enemy team again, not the wisest choice. But Martin saves the day basically. He gets the Pharmacy, and Ruby is going to contest the card for quite a long time.
Cease watching its destination.
So obviously there are no tanks on the side of Brainstorm now, so I guess Carbon is pretty confident of getting this card pushed, so they commit the Orisa ultimate. But a very nice grenade from them, and Martin again is a very good aimer, so he saves the day. So thanks to them and Martin, we could get the the fight win. Now, what you saw here, one push man jumping on the payload as much as possible. Of course, it's a lot of ult charge. He shouldn't have used the heal, but if you are on the attacking team and you die on the payload as well after a lost team fight, the payload, the payload starts to go backwards after some time. But if you die on the payload, like everybody dies on the payload, the card is still contested. So you can essentially re-engage even before the payload starts moving backwards. So dying on payload is very important in both defending and both attacking.
Now show them.
Next team fight. Baka is it's not me yet. Sorry. Amlu is going to get picked, but Ruby is going to do some nice plays. So our Czech friends are going to have a lot of effect on this team fight that's coming up. Again, the Pharah was causing us a lot of trouble, and again, as you have seen so far in every location on this map, I was trying to utilize these small gates because we had medium to short range of fire, so those were the places where we could fight. So Amlu is picked.
Routing tower to forward barrier.
Ruby messing with the Pharah, that's pretty nice. And now we have a Nano McCree. But
Denied.
very well done, Ruby. That could have been a lot of easy kills for BVK, but well done. And now a very interesting combo is used. It usually should be the other way around. First the Shatter, second the Reaper ultimate, but here we use it the other way around. So pretty funny combo. And Muffin is getting slapped, but still we get the Pharah. Very enthusiastic engagement from Baka there. And we almost lose, but again, Carbon lose the main tank, and they are going to retreat. Actually, Martin is going to get one pushman. There you go. So you can see, like, everything is going on. So this is very broken fight. Carbon are playing really well when they lose their main tank. We just stay and fight whatever happens. So we really need to engage with our main tank. Our main tank should not be hooked out of the spawn. So there's a lot of things we can learn from Carbon. So we could chase Carbon back, but we had to use Nano Boost to do that. Nano Boost was used to keep our Reaper alive, and we could get the Roadhog as well. But that was too
30
much
seconds remaining.
resource used for too little value. And now Baka will throw this fight.
Forward to forward barrier.
Unfortunately, in this game, when we had a main tank, we didn't engage as we should have most of the times. And when we had the main tank, sometimes the main tank just decided to throw the game. So Baka is going to get picked again, like the time before in the spawn. And now we are just sitting ducks.
10
Our
seconds
super players are doing very well to use cover, but basically they are grouped up so the Pharah can pick them out easily. And then it's essentially a lost fight. And a map for Carbon.
It's high noon.
Round 1 complete.
So that was the round. I think we should also try and learn this composition that Carbon were using, and we have to be a lot more organized when engaging the enemy. We also need to discuss our compositions better because we didn't have any answers for the composition that Carbon selected. I think it was very apparent in the attacking round, but that would be too painful to review. So that's it for this map, guys. I hope you can watch this video as well. There were definitely some nice plays from everyone, but at the end of the day, it's a big loss, and I hope that there will be a lot of lessons be learned. Thank you all, and see you soon.